us, we'll get away. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free. Let's go, let's be free. Be free.
All right. Welcome, everyone. This is, looks like we got, oh, all right. There we go. I was working on, I was trying to figure out the sound tech. We had some issues. Hopefully, we don't have any tech issues today. Welcome back. This is CRUSHIN COVID Daily. Let's go. Hope your week is going great. Welcome to the show. It is May 27th, Wednesday. Hope your week has been going great so far. So great to be here. Yesterday we had quite a few technical difficulties. We ended up playing the show like, was it 3 times? I think it was. It was like 2 or 3 times. And it was very interesting how we had to just keep trying to go live, but it didn't work out. So, but today it's a new day. It's a brand new day, and I'm excited to be here. I did want to just test that out a little bit. Let me just check something here. Okay, cool. All right, so today we're gonna cover a topic. We're gonna talk about money today. We're gonna talk about money. Okay, we got everything up and running. By the way, if you're new here, if you are new, that means if you've never been to the CRUSHIN COVID show, put new in the comments below. Let me make this adjustment. There we go. Put new in the CRUSHIN COVID. Put new in the comments below so I know you're new. I'd like to say hello. Or if you've been following along and want to say hello regardless, you can do that. My name's Nathan Amaral. I'm the creator of Fearless Millionaire. It's actually, we just recently, this year, celebrated our 10-year anniversary for helping entrepreneurs and real estate investors create more clarity, confidence, and cash flow. If you want to learn more about how we can help you in your real estate business, you can check out that scrolling link there at the bottom at fearless-millionaire.com. Also, I want to go over a few updates of what's been happening recently. I want to thank even more people who've donated to the cause recently. I announced last Sunday that we had, I was doing a fundraiser, but I've been doing it for the past year. You can go to this website that's coming up here, right here, bit.ly/UG-COVID. And now it's going to take you to a GoFundMe page where we've been recently helping 11 school teachers in this time of crisis over in Uganda. I want to thank you so much for everyone who's donated so far. And if you want to donate or are considering, even if it's $5 or $10, you got to do what you can, what fits in your budget for this kind of stuff. So if you want to do that, you can go to that link down below. Again, thank you everyone for who's donated to that so far. Want to make that announcement. Thank you so much. And next, I want to there's the website right there. If you want to go to that page, it'll also say fasting for families, because prior to COVID, I was doing a lot of intermittent fasting and I was raising money. So what I would do is the money that I was saving from eating myself personally, I'd compile that and I would contribute that money to a local community that we've been serving for quite some time. And then I put it out there and a bunch of people started donating and even fasting as well. So that was really cool. So we're, again, doing that same outreach, just a little bit virtually right now with COVID happening. So if you want to be a part of that and want to contribute, the link's right there down below. You can do that also. Also want to give an update to our giveaway, bit.ly right there right now, Fearless Dash giveaway. We have over 400 people who want to try to have their chance to win. There is 5 spots available for this remote giveaway. Remote giveaway. That sounds like a vacation. No, basically what we're doing is we are in our upcoming training, Remote Real Estate Investing. It's a group training, and we are going to be walking you step by step through the process of how to build a business remotely. You can do real estate from anywhere. I do it from here. I've done it from there. I've done it from over there. So you can literally do it from anywhere. We show you that here in this upcoming group training. Now, we've done this before. We actually just came out of a group session just about 2 months ago, and we are going to launch another one coming up here in probably like mid-June sometime. We'll announce the dates to the 5 winners and to the other people that are on the waiting list to make this happen. It's going to be a very small group. We don't work with hundreds of people at a time, and we work with a very limited amount of people so that we can ensure that they're having all their success. And I've been getting updates from my team that people are crushing it, making money. I just got an announcement yesterday that we have another person closing another deal in our group, in our remote real estate group. They're making, I want to say $13,000. I was trying to get them on the show today, but it was a little short notice and they're over in the West Coast. So it was like crack of dawn. So it wasn't going to work out. But maybe in the very near future, I'll do more interviews with them and having them on here. But with remote real estate investing, you really can. We'll dive into that. If you're interested, by the way, if you're even interested, and maybe let's say you don't have participate in the giveaway, the one that's scrolling right there at the bottom. Let's say you don't want to participate in the giveaway, but you still want to know, like, hey, I want to. Where is it? Where is that? Oh, there it is. Okay, let's say you wanted to, that's not it. Right here. There you go. Let's say you did want to, I was trying to find the right one. Let's say let's say you didn't make the giveaway. Let's say you didn't win and you still want to learn how to, do remote real estate investing. Here's what I do for you right now. We don't have like a public page for this or anything like that. So what I would encourage you to do is just shoot an email over to support. It's coming up down there. support at fearless-millionaire.com. Okay. So send an email to support at fearless-millionaire.com and just put in the subject line, like, I want in, something like that. So that way we know, and then we can let you know. This, again, like I said, this is not really a public thing that we do. It's more of a private group. So if you shoot an email over to us, either Joanna or Aubrey, they're my executive assistants, they'll contact you and they will update you on when we're going to announce the next opening for the remote real estate investing group. Okay, does that make sense? So you can go to our you can shoot an email to us there and can make that happen. By the way, if you're watching over on YouTube, the link will be in the description, and the information for that will be in the description, the way to contact us. If you're watching us over on Facebook, it will be up and above this video. Everything that I've already mentioned is above this video. Okay, so that's the way to play with us and have a good time. Today we're going to be talking about what happens when you hit a million. Hey, thanks so much for joining in. Thank you so much. Good to have you here, Robert. Good to have you here, Robert. And yeah, by the way, anyone else who's watching, you can if you're new, you can post new. Just put new in the comments. That way I know you're new. Or if you've been around and you just want to say, hey, what's up? I want us to greet you as well. Don't want to leave you out. All right. So today's topic, it's going to be a brief one, because yesterday I started this topic and I was actually telling you about a little bit about my past, and I started reading a letter that I used to give my clients, and I was bringing you a story about that, and I was going to transition to a story today. So if you want to check that out, it's somewhere on our YouTube under day 26. I don't even, it's all boggled up because we had to record that like 2 or 3 times. We hit the live button a few times, but either way, I want to just continue that story from yesterday, and then I want to, give you what happens when you reach a million. Over the years, for the past 10 years, I've been helping real estate entrepreneurs and business owners, some that are just starting out, and others that have already, done a lot of deals. They've done a lot of business, millions in sales, and they're doing really well. Have multiple employees. And one of the interesting things, and this was actually a shocker at the first part, and I'll also share my personal story with this, but I remember when I'll give you my personal story because it came first before I started working with other people. When I first started my real estate investing business, I closed my first deal coming up on 15 years ago. I think it just passed 15 years or 14, whatever. Anyway, it was a bunch of years ago. And when I closed my first deal, that's when, everything just became real. Like this real estate investing business, it actually became real because I was going from seminar to seminar. And then finally, it was like, whoa, this just became real. Made about $18,000 on those deals. And then I just kept going. And that was the biggest thing my coach said to me. He said, just continue to do this. Stick with it. Don't give up on this strategy. Don't lose sight. Just remain in the strategy. And he told me to do the strategy for 2 years. And I did do that. I did continue to flip properties. I built a very large buyers list over in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And I continued to do that for 2 years. And fortunately enough, that business did around $500,000 in a very short amount of time. And that was life changing because I didn't I had, prior to that, I was like trapped up and wrapped up in all different kinds of, like I told you yesterday, I was doing like 3 jobs, and it was just like things were everywhere. Like my mindset wasn't even at a point where I could see and envisioning like a bigger business. So interesting enough, after I did that, after I worked that model for 2 years, I then got into apartments. I started. I told you guys this in a previous episode here of the show, and I started working apartments. And I got into apartments the wrong way too. Interestingly enough, I got hired by Dave Lindahl out of Rockland, Massachusetts, out of the Boston area, and I worked for him for 3 years. But the way I got started in apartments was very different. I used a bunch of my own money, and I ended up losing a bunch of my own money. I had some bad experiences with like 2 partners, and deals went south. Lost a bunch of money in the process. At the same time, we were going through the market crisis. Lost a bunch of money in the stock market. You guys probably heard me share that. So a bunch of money was lost, a lot of money mistakes, interesting enough. And then, but you learn from those. You learn from those mistakes. And interesting enough that when I started learning how to, work on my business, it made a big impact in the way to view money started to change, because I started meeting people who had, done many, many millions of dollars in revenue and in profits in their business. And it was interesting because when I remember this black journal. I still have the journal, by the way. I don't have it with me right now. It's not at this location. It's actually in Uganda. And it's this black journal. I'll never forget it because I had notes in there from when I was mentoring with Jim Rohn, and I had notes in there from when I hit my first million in one of my businesses. I hit a million. I'll never forget it because it was right around that time. It was like I had just met Dave Lindahl. I remember even writing notes like a few months after, I think it was, where I was writing notes about, traveling with him. So I remember in the journal, it was like a journal that I had, and I was mentoring with Jim Rohn. And then I remember when that company hit a million, I was like, wow, what now? Like, I had a feeling of, is that all there is? Yeah, it was like that. It was like, okay, okay. I'll tell you what, it wasn't as amazing as it was when I made those two deals close at the age of 20 and I made $18,000. It was not the same. There was a lot more highs and lows, of course. There was a lot of more like losses and profits, bigger checks and all that stuff. But it was so interesting because when you reach, and this is when I truly discovered, it was kind of interesting because for years I knew the saying of, life is a journey, not a destination. And when you have these goals and you learn your life lessons through the process, and it's the journey that creates the man. And I learned that at the same time I was, in mentorship with Jim, is that I was learning that it's not the end result. The number is not the end result. It's actually the person you become to get there. And if I was to rewind many years ago when I was broke, the reality is I remember Jim always telling me, he said, and I was skeptical, but I believed. I was skeptical, I believed, but I believed with gullibility, like that it would come true, right? I just like, yep, absolutely. At first I was skeptical because I never heard that, but he said, set your goal for 1 million. Set your goal for 1 million. Because when you set your goal for 1 million, it's not about the number when you hit it. It's about the person you have to become to reach it. And when he said it to me, I was like, and also at the same time, the words of work hard at your job, you'll earn a living, work harder on yourself, you'll earn a fortune. Those were embedded into my brain because I was working really hard at 3 jobs and it was nonstop. And then when I heard the same sayings of work harder on yourself, that's when I knew like it was personal development, develop yourself, work smarter, not harder. Um, have a bigger vision in your life. That was reading the books like The Magic of Thinking Big and Think and Grow Rich. And I was just so gullible to so many things. So one of the most impactful moments that I discovered during that time, when I remember writing down in that journal, like, hey, today's the day we crossed 1 million. This is amazing. It was great. I remember rewarding myself for making that happen. I remember that day. But it was after that. It was like day 2, day 3 after that, right? It was like, okay, now what, right? What's next? And it was, and there was something that Tony Robbins taught me many years ago. It's like, this is what happens to people who only live by setting goals. And all those years up until that point, up until I reached that threshold, that to 1 million mark, right? And that's when I realized that when Tony would say, it's not about if you're so goal driven, you're going to realize that you're going to have a lot of emotional up and downs, right? And he said you have to go deeper into what fulfills you, not into living off your goals and achievements. And that's when I realized in my life that real estate was a passion but not a calling. And when I heard those words, it was like, that makes sense, because this is, I'm passionate about this, but it's not like a calling. And fulfillment, it matters so much more. It really does, because you could do something, you could make a bunch of money, you could whatever you want with the money, and if it doesn't fulfill you, you can actually end up feeling empty. And this is why you've probably heard or seen, whether they're celebrities, athletes, whoever, that they end up either on, drugs or addictions that they can't control. Um, you know, depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff. There's a whole bunch of mental issues that go on in that time frame, especially when you go from nothing to something pretty quickly or in a short amount of time, whether it's 1 or 2 years and you have like huge success, and a lot of things can happen. People start judging you. They start asking you for money on a whole nother level. I'll never forget the time I remember I posted this online, and it was it's kind of interesting. I have a few stories like this, but one of them I won't share them all right now. But one of them was I had posted like a car and then some jewelry and a picture of, I was walking around with $30,000. Like, no joke. I literally had $30,000 in my bag at any given time. Cash, like, no problem. It was a backpack. I don't have that today, by the way, so no one can come around and like, try to mug me or something, but I do not do that today. But years ago, I used to walk around $20,000, $30,000 cash, no problem. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. There was this one time I was doing a training for an expert in the internet marketing space, and I was at the Westin in Los Angeles, with the Westin Hotel at the LAX. So I remember I arrived there. I had flown in from where was I? I don't know. I don't know if I was in. I think I was in Florida or Charlotte. I remember it was just on the East Coast, and I flew. I think I was in Charlotte, and I flew from the East Coast to the West Coast. I was tired. I got in, but that night I went out. I met with a friend, two friends of mine. We went out. Yeah, spent a bunch of money, and then then I got back. Then at night, super tired. Went up, did a training. The next night went out with another group of friends, came back, did the training again the next morning. I mean, this is not a lifestyle to live, by the way. I don't recommend it. But anyway, you get the point. So by the time I was done, I want to say I had about 3,000 ish in cash left. And I remember that I had to check out of the hotel so quick. And this is what I remember. I finished the training. I had to go check out of the hotel really quick. I ran up to the room, grabbed my bag, and I left. Well, I forgot. I think it was $3,800 off the top of my head. Let me check real quick. I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to check too. Hold on, give me 1 second. I always like to pull up. I like to take pictures for memories. So let me see if I still have this this check here. Hold on. And sorry guys, I know this is not I hate people keeping people waiting, but I think this story is kind of I don't know, could be relevant. So let me see here. Let me just, I hope I have this. I know I have it. I just hope I have it readily available to show you. Okay, here's a bunch of scanned checks from different things. Okay. What's that? 5,000. Okay, no. No. Ugh. Sorry, guys. Oh, you know what? Let me do a grid view, and I'm going to find it instantly. Watch this. Oh, that's not it. What's that? 8,000? No. What's that? No. 7. What's that? No. Oh, is this it? What's this? Is this it? What's that? No. 5,000? No. Oh, geez. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I can't find it. Shoot. Shoot. All right, let me see if I have it under Weston. I'm just going to try this. I normally have this in my scan doc. Oh, is this it? No. Oh my gosh, it's here. But I didn't even label it Western. Wow, good job, Google Photos. Jesus. Oh, it was 1,000. Oh, it was 1,000. I thought it was more. I thought it was 3,000. I don't know why. All right, so guys, you can see it right here, okay? I don't know why. Maybe I had 3,800 in my head, but anyway, it's right here. Let me share my screen with you so you can see this check from. Okay, what? But I want to tell you the rest of the story too. All right, you see this check right here, made out to my company. Oops. Oh my gosh, the Westin Hotel. Oh God, what did I do? Westin Hotel, $1,674. Westin Hotel in Los Angeles. You see that? Okay. So I probably could have started off this video with how the Westin Hotel paid me 1,000. Right? I could have started the video that way. So here's what happened, right? Westin Hotel calls me. Now, mind you, I have to fly from LAX to Charlotte, which is what, 6 hours, I think. It's like 6 hours. But listen, I get in the plane. That's not all, by the way. I get in the plane and I reach in my bag. Okay? I get in the plane and I reach in my bag and I'm going to go look for the money. Oh, that's what it was. No, I knew it was like $3,000 or $4,000 because some of the money was in my bag. The rest of the money, my diamond watch, my diamond bracelet, I left in the safe at the hotel. So now I'm thinking, some cleaning person is about to walk away and they're not gonna care about saying anything. There's literally an over $10,000 watch. There's like a 3-4, how much was that bracelet? $5,000 bracelet. And then there's $1,600 in the safe. And all I'm thinking is this cleaning person is gonna break out and have a field day with my stuff. And by the way, I'm about to take off on this airplane. Okay, I'm about to take off on this airplane. I can't call Westin. I remember, I'm like, oh my God, it's in the safe. At least I had some cash in my bag. Great. So I reach Charlotte. I call the Westin Hotel. Look at him spitting everywhere. Call the Westin Hotel. And I said, hey, it's Nathan. I was in room, whatever. I don't even remember the room. I have a problem. I left jewelry. I left a watch. I left a bracelet, diamond watch, diamond bracelet. I said, I left money in the safe. I honestly have no idea how much money I left in the safe. I said, can you please send someone to the room? And I remember like 2 minutes later, oh, sure, we'll check. Hold on 1 second. 2 minutes later, the manager gets on the phone, says, Mr. Amaral, I want to let you know that one of our cleaners actually cleaned your room already. And we have a box here and some cash that was left behind. I said, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Wow, what you guys, that cleaning person, because I was telling him, I said, listen, I seriously thought that maybe something would happen. Oh no, sir, that's not our style. We have good staff, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, I want to say his name was like Jim or Jerry. It was something with a J. I said, Jerry, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to give that cleaning staff person $100 tip for me. Take it out of there. I give you the authority. I don't, like I said, I honestly, it's an undisclosed. I don't know how much cash is there. He's like, oh no, sir, I already counted it. This is how much is here. I said, it's fine. Give the cleaning person $100 tip. And also, you can give yourself a $100 tip also, just because I need you to ship that to me. Insure the shipment, okay, with insurance, okay, because I told him what to do. I said, because that jewelry, I need you to insure it, ship it, and all that stuff. And he's like, oh, yeah, no problem. So I did that, and I got it back. And I was able, well, I didn't get the cash. I got a check for the remaining cash. That was the check I just showed you. So what was the point of me telling you this story? Oh, okay. Hold on. No, I was coming to a point here. So the point of the story is, what was the point of the story? Oh, I think I was telling you I was working with experts. That's what it was. I was working with a bunch of, experts at that same, I was coming to a point here. At that same training, okay? And by the way, I've been to the Westin LAX probably over a dozen times. But I remember at that particular training, after one of those nights, I was going out with a buddy of mine in those groups of people. This is my point of the whole story. One of those nights I went out, my buddies, like they were out having a good time, whatever. Some of those guys were drinking. I don't drink, but some of them were drinking, and I remember this one of my buddies who I known for a long time. He's been in the internet marketing space. The guy's made gobs of money online, like no joke. Over $10 million online. He's just really, really good selling SEO. What do you call those ads? Like, I don't know if you're in business, you've probably gotten these phone calls where it's someone calling you and saying, "Oh, would you like to be on the first page of Google?" Right, that kind of stuff. So SEO marketing, pay-per-click marketing. So he made a lot of money. And so, what he was telling me? He said, "Nate, because I was surprised. I was like, wow, your business just exploded." And we kept in touch probably like once or twice a month. But it was amazing to see him go from, a six-figure startup to, for him, 10 million in rev in a year. For him personally, that was incredible. The business was doing much, much more than that. So it was really good. And I even asked him if I could, I even asked him, I said, you should become one of my clients. I'd like to, help you guys out in one area. But we never ended up doing business together, which is fine. The most important lesson I got out of that meeting that night, I'll never forget it, because we were sitting over, in this restaurant with a bar and stuff. But we had our own seats, and there was like these palm trees above us and all this stuff. And it was really nice. It was up on one of the what do you call it, skyscrapers. Really nice. I think some basketball players showed up and all this stuff. It's California, So when we're having this meeting, he said, I loved it when I was just starting out. When we had just crossed that barrier, we got in some funding. We got 100,000 in funding. That's how we started the business. He got 100,000 in his startup. And he loved that part of the grind and how he was working his business all the time and working and building. And then, when he hit $1 million in his business, he was like, yeah, that's great. But it wasn't as good as when he was grinding it out. And then he also told me that when he personally crossed 10 million, that it wasn't as gratifying as when he was in the struggle, when he was like working through it. It really drived him. And I was like, wow. I said, and because I immediately resonated with that, with what he said. I actually thought he was going to tell me, oh no, this is the best, way to live life. And he was actually telling me, he's like, I actually enjoyed the struggle of coming up and in making and building the business. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think he had I don't know what kind of type of Ferrari, but he had some kind of Ferrari, and I just don't remember the names and models and all that. And so he's like, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have the Ferrari and all that, but he's like, now with my company, he's like, there isn't so much of that, growth. He's like, there's not more of that struggle. It's like, it just keeps going. And I have a manager, and they manage the whole sale. They have a big call center. And so he's like, now it's either I sell or he's like, that's honestly my only exit, is just to sell. He's like, but you know what, Nate? He's like, I went to Burning Man. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Burning Man, but Burning Man is, I think, if I recall correctly, it's in Arizona. I've never been, but I think it's in Arizona, and it's like this festival, and you go out in the desert, and it's kind of like a personal development festival. You could look it up. It's Burning Man. And he said, I went to Burning Man, and that didn't help. And I went to all these things. And he said, I need something, because I feel like I'm so depressed. And I was like, wow. Immediately I could connect with him, because I felt the same way years earlier. And I said, dude, I know exactly where you're coming from. And I said, honestly, the best event you could go to is Date with Destiny by Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins puts on this event called Date with Destiny. I'm telling you, it is transformative. It will transform your life. It's so interesting. There's like two ways to this road. Some people go on the personal development road first, and then they achieve the results. That was my road. I started off in like learning personal development and renewing my mind and learning all these things. And then some people don't have a personal development road, and then they take the fast, let's call it, I don't want to call it fast cash, but they take the only business focused road and they make a bunch of money, but then they're like emotionally, they just crash and they're like filled with depression. Why? Because they haven't mastered their emotions. They haven't mastered themselves. So they'll make all this money, but all of a sudden they find themselves depressed. So my buddy, okay, I don't want to disclose his personal life and addictions, but he was in a bad place. He needed professional help and he did get it. But he also went to Date with Destiny. And when he told me that, and I was so glad he did, I said, listen, man, if you go to this event, you can stop every other addiction that you have. Like you will actually have complete control, because when you are grasped with addictions, then you're not in control. Your addictions control you. And so I think it took him maybe like 6 months, because Date with Destiny doesn't happen like every month or something like that. It's not like a seminar. It's a transformative life event. And when he went to Date with Destiny, and after he visited that and went through that experience, he said, Nate, I get it. He's like, this has been the best. I wish we went to the same event together. That would have been awesome too. But he said, Nate, this was the best event. I get it. I understand. I know. I now know what I now know what my passion and what fulfills me. And he says, I'm going to sell my company. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I'm going to sell my company. And, he still ended up selling that company 60 something $million. I don't remember the exact number. I want to say 63, but I don't know why that number keeps popping in my head. It probably is. Sold his business for like $60 million, made a bunch of money, doesn't have to work a day for the rest of his life. And he went and started another venture. He got into venture capital, and he still lives out in California. And he started another business. But he started it with a new insight, and he started with a new light about mastering the emotions and knowing what to do with negative emotions, and knowing what fulfills you. And once you know your 6 human needs, what the 6 human needs are, once you know the 6 human needs, and then you can apply that and know, when you know what your core human needs are for yourself, you can attack life in a whole different way. So after we went to that event, I said, yeah, man, I gave him a big hug, because I was like, dude, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. You should be so proud of yourself. And that's what I told him. And I'm so happy for you. And dude, I love you. I told him, I said, dude, I love the fact that you went to this event and it changed your life. I had such a connection to him even more, because let me tell you, for the past 10 years, I've been consulting with top real estate experts who close like hundreds of deals a year, 50 deals a year. They do a bunch of business. And some of them even have educational companies where they're helping, and they're selling courses and stuff. So I've consulted with even those companies. And it's interesting. I remember a buddy of mine down in Alabama. He did a bunch of business, like huge, like a bunch of business. I remember one time I was consulting with him, and he did a live event in Florida. And it was a new presentation. Him and I worked on the presentation together. We tweaked it. I trained the salespeople, and literally in one weekend, he made over $560,000 in one weekend. I was so excited for him. I really was. A few months after that, he starts telling me like that negative things were happening in his life and in his family. Just negative, like really negative. I don't want to say that was like the peak of his life. I don't want to say that, but it was just bad things were happening with his family. And it was because business was first, cash was first. And unfortunately, he lost it all. He lost it all. And then I think I ran into him at an event, probably a mastermind event, I think a year later. And he told me that he was getting grounded. He ended up going through a program called Life Book, which is basically a personal development book about mastering your emotions. It's kind of like they were inspired by Tony Robbins, and I believe he went to some Tony Robbins events, and he basically worked on himself. He basically worked, and I was so happy he did, because it's so interesting that no matter which road you take, if you take my road to $1 million, which is personal development first, right? And that was really my way in, because I was new to it. Or you could take the, just work a boatload and crash later on, make a bunch of money and then crash later and maybe even lose it. But when you master your emotions, it's really important, because one of the most things I learned, if you work, listen, you're going to be the same person who whoever you are today with $1,000, you're going to be that same person with $1,000,000. You're just going to have more stuff and more options. So if you're a jerk with $1,000, you're going to be a jerk with $1,000,000. If you treat people badly with $1,000 in your checking account, you're going to treat people badly with $1,000,000. It doesn't matter. And what's so unfortunate, my buddy Seth just said this recently, is that the ladder of success, right? Everybody has this ladder in their mind of success. What's really unfortunate is if you climb your ladder of success, if you climb your way to $1,000,000, like my mentor Jim Rohn said, if you climb your way to $1,000,000 and you get to the top, you hit $1,000,000. And this is exactly what I felt years ago. I remember writing in my journal, you climb to the top, you hit $1,000,000, and you look down and you realize, or you look around, however you envision yourself on this ladder, you look around, you're like, shoot, I put my ladder on the wrong wall. And that wall being, maybe it's whatever. I mean, cash first and not conscious first, right? Maybe it's cash first and not Christ first. Maybe it's cash first and not charity. Whatever it is for you, you have to know and understand that you better get that right first. You better know where your long term is, because even if who you are, not, money, all it does is it adds fuel to the flame. See, there's a flame already within you. There's a flame already burning within you. It's your who you are. It's the pilot, right? There's a pilot to every water heater. And that pilot will set the rest of the burner up, right? Unless you got an electric stove. But you understand that there's a pilot in all of us. And if you crank up the heat, and that's like adding more money, whoever you are as that pilot, then guess what? That pilot is a reflection of who you are with more heat. So money, all it does is adds more fuel to your fire. So whoever you are and whoever you want to become, it's just going to magnify it. Money will magnify the person that you are. That's all it does. So I had a hard lesson to learn in that because before it was not caring about anyone but this guy. If it was money, and interesting enough, and I only got a few more minutes, but I'll be very open and candid with you right now. Years ago, see, for me, for a long period of time, I was never like fancy the really nice cars, the Lamborghini or the Ferrari. I don't really like sports cars, so that never really fancied me. But everybody has their things. There's a saying in scripture that says, where your heart is, there your money, your treasure will be, right? And so years ago, my heart was not in charity at all. Like, it was only about this guy and pleasure on this guy. It was like, whatever it is, I need to gratify myself. I need to make my money and do my things in self-gratification, which is a very small-minded way of thinking, by the way. Very small. But at that time, coming from nothing, right, just working all these jobs, always broke, that's all I pushed for. So again, that was my pilot. That's what my mindset was at that time. And at the same time, and thank God I had like mentors and personal development that I worked on. I worked harder on myself. And as I worked on myself and my fortune grew, that pilot is what was already being nurtured, right? And so I transformed from going from self-gratification to long-term vision and charity. I started saying, you know what? It's time to stop living for Nathan and start living for my family and for others. Like, I had to have that long-term vision. Like, how do I want to impact others? And for everybody, it's going to be a little different. And by the way, even if you're trying to change your personal financial future, you're trying to change your family unit's financial future, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You should do that. You cannot help other people extensively or make a huge impact if you do not take care of yourself. And guys, in a way, you have to be a little bit of rebellious about it. You have to do things a little, sometimes you have to break the mold. You can't be so much of a critic. You can't be so much like mocking wealthy people. Sometimes wealthy people are the people who are writing the biggest checks for hospitals, or they're writing the biggest checks to biggest charities, right? So you can't mock, you can't be a critic. See, no government makes a statue for a critic. No government is building statues to critics. They're building statues to the revolutionaries, the big thinkers, the out of the box thinkers, the ones who became fearless, the ones who decided to say, you know what, I'm going to do this no matter what. I don't care if my family or friends are looking down at me or laughing at me or, you know, cutting my tie. Remember that story? I said that a few weeks ago when my tie got cut, right? That's who they build statues for. And here, guys, I'm not trying to say everybody should have their own statue, but here's the point. The point is that you need to work on who you are. You need to learn how to develop and build that inner flame, that you need to do things maybe that are not so normal, right? Like when I talk about investing remotely, when I was talking about it years ago, people thought I was crazy. Yeah, you can invest remotely. I told you guys about that story, how I did my first deal remotely, virtually. And that may not seem traditional to a lot of people. But if you once you start thinking and start living your life a little unconventional and start taking that step, man, your whole life changes. It really does. Work harder on yourself and you'll earn a fortune. If you work hard at your job, you'll just earn a living. And work hard on yourself every day. And I mean this, every day. Renew your mind. Every day, get into something. Every day, listen to something. Every day, be listening, renewing your mind. If you're in real estate, listen to real estate stuff, but also get a mix of leadership, negotiation skills, personal development. How can you grow? How can you become better? Dive deeper into developing who you are, because it is the most powerful thing you have. It's the most powerful asset that you have is you. No matter what happens, depression, recession, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Recession, depression, because you know what? The world looks for burning flames. They look for people who are on fire, who are fearless. They look for people who are just going all out and saying, no, I'm not gonna think like the media. I'm not gonna think like the news. I'm not gonna settle. I'm gonna be different. And you know what that creates? Followers, believers, sales, profits, donations. But it starts with you. It starts with you. Tomorrow, I have a special lesson I want to share with you about being uniquely you in the marketplace, especially in real estate investing. I want to share that story with you, and I got a video I'm going to share. We'll probably get copy flagged on this one because I can't show videos on the show, but who cares? We'll make it happen. No, I got a special video for you. I want to show you about being uniquely you and how that can impact yourself and the world around you. It's kind of like a part 2 to today's show. And what I encourage you to do even today is just pick up something. Like go to Amazon.com, and I highly recommend go to one of Tony Robbins' like audiobooks or books. I would definitely pick up Unlimited Power or Awaken the Giant Within. Let's keep it simple. I'm going to keep it simple for you. I don't want you to randomly pick. Either go to Unlimited Power or Awaken the Giant Within. Go check one of those out and just start going through it. Renew your mind with that information. And it'd probably be best in audiobook because you get to hear Tony himself. You know, it's really powerful. So I recommend those to you because that has made such a big impact on me. And it helped me to manage not only the first million, but also multiple millions and even into my clients. You know, luckily, gratefully, my clients have made millions and millions of dollars in profits. It's the coolest thing when you can now, you know, take the transformation that you've had and instill it in other people. That's really powerful. That's influence. And just like Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's all there. So I got that homework for you. Jump over to Amazon, get an audiobook on Audible and listen to either Unlimited Power or Awaken the Giant Within. I highly recommend it. It's, you know, discover what you discover the 6 human needs and discover your human need, and it will give you a lot of breakthrough. Guys, thanks so much for joining in today. I want to leave you with a video and have you watch this video. And also remember this quote that my late mentor Jim Rohn gave me. You, today, set your goal. I don't care if you have to write it down on a piece of paper. Do what you need to do. Set your goal for $1 million. If you've never made $1 million, make today that day. Write it down. Today's May 27th, 2020. That maybe this time next year, or it doesn't have to be in a certain time frame. It's definitely not going to be in 30 days. But you understand my point. Set your goal for $1 million, because it's the person that you have to become to achieve that $1 million that's going to make all the difference in the world. Go out there and make it happen. Live fearless. See you tomorrow.
So I was outside cleaning my truck. Yes, I still clean my truck. Lo and behold, FedEx comes, and guess what's inside? Let's see here. Oh yeah, my first check, you guys. Can you see that? $34,000.
You can do this! I believe in you! All right, give yourselves a round of applause.
With the Fearless Millionaire program, and before taking the program, I was having trouble being comfortable on the phone, knowing what to say to people, and just putting more money in my pocket. And I can honestly say,
I am the Fearless Millionaire.
You can do it. Don't give up. You are fearless millionaire. Yeah, it's right now. This is a video right now. Hello. Bye-bye. Thank you. Hey, like this.
Jangan